Hello and welcome. Today's lesson is going to be about system of equations by graphing. A system is two or more equations. For the purpose of this lesson, we're going to be doing system of equations with two equations each. So on the first example here, we have these two equations, and we notice the first equation, the y is alone. And that's important because in order to graph, we want to make sure the equation is in a slope-intercept form, which is when the y is alone. The reason why is because the number with x is the slope and the number without x is the y-intercept. So right there, my first equation has the y alone, so I can identify my slope, which is 1, and my b will be -5 because that's the number without x. Also remember, we want the slope to be a fraction, so we're going to put a 1 underneath to make it into a fraction. We always start the graph with the letter b, which is the y-intercept. The y-intercept is on the y-axis, so we're going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's our first point. Then we look at the slope, and the slope is 1 over 1, so that means I go up 1, and I run 1 to the right. So let's go there to the y-intercept. I'm going to go up 1, 1 to the right, up 1, 1 to the right, and we'll continue doing that until we finish the whole right side of the graph. There we go. And now that we finished the right side, now we'll go back to the starting point and we'll do the opposite, which is go down 1 over 1 to the left, down 1, 1 to the left, down 1, 1 to the left. And we do that until we finish the left side. Once we finish that, we're going to connect the points using a straight line. So let's go ahead and use here a straight line. And there we go. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the second equation. So I'm going to change colors. First thing we're going to do is make sure that the y is alone. So we're going to need to move the 4x to the other side. So that means the 4x becomes -4x. And we're bringing down the -6y. And we're bringing down the +18. The y is still not alone, so we're going to divide both sides by -6. And when we try to divide -4 divided by -6, let's see here, -4 divided by -6 gives us a decimal, so we click right there, and it gives us 2/3. So right here on our equation, we're going to write 2 over 3x, and 18 divided by -6 is -3. So right there, we got the y alone. And now we can identify our slope. Our slope is 2 over 3. And our b is -3. Now we always start with the y-intercept. We're going to go down 3. Make the first point. And then we'll look at the slope. The slope says go up 2 and to the right 3. So we're going to go up 2 to the right 3. Up 2 to the right 3, and up 2 to the right 3. And then once we finish the right side, we'll go back to the starting point, which is the y-intercept. We're going to go down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3, down 2 over 3. And now we're going to connect the dots, and there we go. The two line crosses right there at that point right there. And that's exactly what we're looking for on solving a system of equations. We're looking for where the two lines cross. So right there, we see that the lines crosses right there at this particular point right here. So we know that the answer is going to be that point of intersection. So what is that point? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. And then we'll go up 1 to get to that point. So the answer to this system of equations is where the two lines crosses, and that point is 6, 1. All right, so let's go on to the next example. Here again, we have a system of equations with two equations, and first thing we want to do is make sure the y is alone. Since I don't have a lot of space under this equation, I'm going to copy the equation here to the right, and I'm going to send the 3x to the other side. So this would be -3x. I'm going to bring down the -y, and I'm going to bring down the negative 2. Now the y is still not alone, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. And when we do that, y equals 3x, and negative 2 divided by negative 1 is positive 2. So there we go, we have the y alone, and we identified the slope to be 3, and the b is 2. Now we always want the slope to be a fraction, so we're going to put a 1 underneath, and now we can make the graph. So in this case, we're going to go up 2, and that's our y-intercept, and looking at the slope, that tells me that I'm going to go up 3 over 1 to make the next point. So up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, and I cannot go anymore. So now I'm going to go backwards. Down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, and another down 3 over 1. Once I've done that, I'm going to connect the dots using a straight line. You can use your ID, and there is our line. Let me make it a little bit better. Here we go. Perfect. Now we're going to do the same thing to the other equation. We're going to get the y alone. So let me change the colors here. And over here, we're going to move the 36x to the other side. So this would be 12y equals positive 36x. Bring down the 24, which is positive 24. And now we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 12. And when we divide 36 divided by 12, we get 3. And 24 divided by 12 is positive 2. So there you go. We got the y alone. So that means our slope is 3. And our b is 2. And make sure you put a 1 underneath the 3 so that this makes into a fraction. And we're going to start our second graph at 2. And right there, we're going to go up 3 over 1, up 3 over 1, and then down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. So if you notice, what happened is we got the same exact line for both equations, okay? And when we try to draw the line, we see that we have one line on top of the other. So in this particular problem, we don't have one point of intersection. We have multiple points of intersection. We have many points of intersection. If you notice, we have many, many points where the two lines cross. So in this particular problem, we say that the answer is IMS, okay? And IMS stands for infinitely many solutions. That means there's an infinite number of solutions, because if you think about lines go forever to both directions. This line's going to go up forever, and it's going to go down forever. So there's going to be continue to have many, 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 many more points of intersections. That's why it's called IMS. Okay, so for the purpose of this lesson and these assignments, you're going to abbreviate infinitely many solutions using IMS. Okay, let's go on to the next problem here. And this again, we need to get the y alone. So there's no space here. So let me write over here to the side. And first thing I'm going to do is move the 2x to the other side in order to start getting the y alone. So the 2x is going to become positive 2x, and we'll bring it down to 12. And now we're going to divide both sides by 4. And we get y equals 2 divided by 4. If you use your calculator, you'll see that 2 divided by 4 gives you a decimal. And whenever you get a decimal, click over here, and you're going to get the reduced fraction, which in this case is 1 over 2x. And then 12 divided by 4 is positive 3. There we go. Go ahead and box the equation with the y alone. So now we can identify our slope, which in this case is already a fraction, 1 over 2. And our b is positive 3. So we're going to start our graph at positive 3. And then looking at the slope, that means I'm going to go up 1 over 2 to the right. So up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and continue doing that until you fill in all the right side. Once you finish the right side, go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, and same thing. Finish the left side. Once you finish that, you should have gotten a straight line. So now let's connect those dots with a straight line. Make sure you use your ID so it looks really nice. And now we're going to do the second line. So I'm going to change colors to blue, and we want the y alone. So the negative 10y is going to come down. The 5x moves over there to the other side as negative 5x. The 30 comes down as positive 30. And we're going to divide both sides of the equation by negative 10. Okay, and then we get the y alone. And then we do negative 5 divided by 10 on the calculator. Let's see what we get. We get negative 10. We get 0.5. You click right there and change back to a fraction. So this would be 1 over 2x. And then 30 divided by negative 10 is negative 3. So right there, we got a second equation. And we see that our slope is 1 over 2. And our b is negative 3. So now we're going to start at the y-intercept, which is our b, which is negative 3. And then looking at the slope, I'm going to go up 1 over 2 to the right. So up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, up 1 over 2, and until we finish the right side. Then we'll go back to the starting point, and we're going to go down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, down 1 over 2, and down 1 over 2. Now we're going to connect the dots using a straight line. And we notice right there that these two lines don't cross. If you notice, the slopes are the same. So that means these lines are parallel and they will never cross. So in this case, we're going to write our final answer as NS, which means no solution. What does that mean? That means these lines will never cross, so there will be no solution to the system of equations. All right, let's go on to the next and final example. Here we have those equations that only have one letter equals a number. So in these cases, it's much easier just to remember. If it's the y, that means you're going to have a horizontal line. And if you have the x, you're going to have a vertical line. So y equals negative 3. You just go down to negative 3 on the y-axis, and you draw a horizontal line. So there you go. There's my y equals negative 3. Now for the x equals 2, you look at the x-axis to find the number 2. And once there, you draw a vertical line. And there we go. We see that the two lines cross right there. And there is a point of intersection, which is positive 2 down negative 3. So positive 2, negative 3. So right there is our final answer. So today we talked about system of equations. And we noticed that there's three things that could happen. You could have two lines that cross each other, like this last example here, and we get a point as an answer with an x and a y coordinate. Or maybe the lines are parallel, and that in that case, then you have no solution. Or you could have two lines equal each other. So in that case, you're going to have two lines, one on top of the other, and the answer will be infinitely many solutions, which you can abbreviate with IMS. So today, we learned how to solve system of equations. In your assignments, make sure you follow the steps. Show me the equations with the y alone. Show me the slope and the y-intercept, and plot the points, showing me all the points that are possible to graph. Okay, and then write down your final answer. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you very much for your time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.